Oh, this is big. This is a dream come true for Hilo.
Sometimes nature gives you enough warnings, and in this particular case, nature did.
You know, even though I introduced the bill, I ended up voting against it.
It happened to an unborn child.
Recruiting physicians to the Big Island is not an easy fit.
For those people that do commute from West Hawaii to East Hawaii and has never used Saddle Road, they should try it.
Aloha, I'm David Bach, editor of the Hawaii Tribune Herald. Last year, the newspaper reported hundreds of stories that had a significant impact on the East Hawaii community. The Tribune Herald looked at all those stories and narrowed down the list to choose the 10 news events we thought were most important. So for the next half hour, sit back and relax as we present 10 stories that helped shape the community in 2007, right here on KHHB-TV. Mahalo. It hasn't even reached the Big Island yet, but controversy regarding the super ferry has had an impact. Protesters opposing the ferry held vigils in front of the federal building and the state office building in Hilo. Negative perceptions about Hawaii were a concern for many, including the Hawaii Island Chamber of Commerce.
If the super ferry would have died after having 40+ million of government money and all 300 million or so of private money invested into it or projected to be invested into it, it would have been a huge stigma against the state of Hawaii. And we're a capital poor state. If you can't rely on permitting, then you lose the opportunity to have other people want to invest in the state. So it's an extremely important issue.
Lawsuits were filed in federal court, and an impeachment resolution was drafted against Governor Lingle for allowing the super ferry to begin service. One of their concerns, environmental impact.
I truly believe that the mitigation things that the super ferry authorities address was far and above and beyond any EIS requirement. But because we became so hostile, because there was a total breakdown of communication and relationship of identifying what is the problem and then try to address the problem, we did not get there. It was of sides. And I'm always sad to see that. I don't care what the problem is.
And additional unforeseen issues have arisen as a result of the litigation.
The Supreme Court ruling has triggered a need for an environmental assessment or impact statement anytime you have to do an improvement inside a government road right-of-way. And because of this, anytime somebody needs to connect to a sewer line, a water line, or pull power, you'd have to get an environmental assessment of your entire property. Now, this is a time-consuming and a very expensive event.
Regardless, the super ferry is currently making trips between Oahu and Maui, weather and ocean conditions permitting, and super ferry service to the Big Island is still scheduled to begin in 2009.
I truly believe that this was a project good for Hawaii's people and of commerce.
Oh, this is big. This is a dream come true for Hilo.
Named after a World War II hero and Medal of Honor recipient who died in 2003, the Yukio Ukutsu Veterans Home opened on November 12th, but the need was identified many years ago.
A bunch of veterans came to Mayor Harry Kim's office and said, we need a facility. And so Harry and his group went to Linda, Governor Lingle, and her first few days or first few short time in office, and said we need a veterans home. And that's, again, I believe where it started. We provide a full service of skilled nursing facility services, ICF level of care, which is intermediate care, folks that don't really need care under their Medicare benefit. Eventually, when we're licensed or certified to accept Medicare, which should be soon, we'll be able to take more skilled patients coming directly from the acute. And here they'll receive nursing care and services along with rehab.
Currently housing 7 veterans with beds for up to 95 patients, this state-of-the-art facility has started providing long-term care services to veterans from across Hawaii and the mainland.
This is a home of the brave. There's a lot of veterans. We have a huge population of veterans in the islands, And we're the only state, one of the few states that didn't have a veterans home. So this is a huge step for the community. And then the size of this community, having another nursing home in and of itself is a big thing, because we're sorely lacking in long-term care beds for this size of a community.
$30 or $40 million is actually nickels and dimes compared to what the cost of this incinerator or waste-to-energy facility is going to cost. It's a heck of a lot more than that.
Although most residents agree that a long-term solution to East Hawaii's trash disposal is needed, the question remains, what is the best way to handle it? 3 firms were identified as finalists in a bid to build the island's first rubbish incinerator plant. Several council members toured Wheelabrator's incinerator plants in Florida, Connecticut, and Taiwan without consensus.
When I went to the one in Taiwan, I was not too surprised. It smelled terrible. And what was surprising is other people from this council had visited evidently the same plant and said it was a nice residential neighborhood, everything around it was groovy. Well, it was a big industrial neighborhood.
Initial cost estimates appear much larger than originally thought.
By the time we end up building this, if you count interest and the capital costs and some of the other things that they say are associated with it, it might be well over $200 million.
Council members disagree about whether building an incineration plant is the right way to handle the county's rubbish problem. Councilman Jacobson has his own ideas.
Well, I think that we need to look at another option than this, certainly. I think that the most important option is trying to reduce our waste to zero. That's why I passed a zero waste, with the help of my colleagues, zero waste resolution.
I think it's very important, not only from the factor that it's going to cost a lot of money, whichever technology we choose, but it certainly does affect each and every member of our county. It's a big issue.